Hey, welcome back everybody. Thank you, Dario. And what an amazing day we've had so far, but we've still got some great treats for you in store. The next one right now here is with Russ Jackson. Russ, welcome to Graphistudio's live weekend. Great to see you. Great to see people in person, even though we can't get any closer than this. It's so nice to see everybody, and it's great. Thank you so much for joining us. Russ, as some of you will know, an amazing newborn trainer and a fabulous academy as well, where he teaches those newborn skills. But it's not just about how to shoot newborns. Russ is here to talk about how he shoots newborns to make sales, how he actually uses the different skills that he has to take great photographs for sure, but to make sure that they can sell. So Russ, thanks very much for joining us. I'm going to let you crack on because I know you've got a lot to talk about and we've got a short space of time to talk about it in. We're going to do some live shooting or to sew the kind of sets, and then we're going to come back to Russ and we're going to talk about sales as well and how to make money out of your newborns. Russ, thank you very much. We will meet again shortly.
Sure. Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you for having me. Super, guys. So yeah, for those of you who know me, obviously I'm best known for my newborn work, and I've been using graphene now for going on 10 years, more than 10 years. What absolutely revolutionized my business was when I went from shooting 100 plus sessions a year and shoot and burning, basically selling digital images, to going to shoot prints, so shooting for product. So basically what that allowed me to do was halve my sessions but double my profits, and obviously, you know, anybody who can do that is going to be happy because you spend more time with your loved ones, you avoid the dreaded burnout. So that's what today's talk is about. We're gonna break it up into two sections. The first section, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I do in camera in order to get variety in my sessions, and then after that we're going to be talking about the reveal wall, where we'll be going in and sort of talking about how I go through the sales process in order to maximize my sales. So with any form of photography, but particularly with newborns, it's all about variety. Because newborns are quite easily woken up, you want to absolutely maximize your session and get as much variety as possible. The more variety you get, the bigger the chances of selling your largest collection of prints. So I'm going to quickly go through the gear I use. We'll do a couple of my staple poses. Those are the ones that I do on every session. We'll talk a little bit about how I increase the variety of sessions, the variety of shots that I do within my session, and then have a short break, and then, as I say, afterwards we'll talk about the tactics or the method that I use in the sales room. So if we come around this side, this is my newborn baby, Matilda. For those of you who follow me, you'll know Matilda well. She goes all the way around the world with me. So obviously with COVID restrictions, we can't be photographing a newborn baby, and we certainly wouldn't be able to do that in 20 minutes. So with my sessions, the biggest thing, like I said before, is getting as much variety as possible and making full use of the time that you have. So, you know, how long is a newborn session? Well, how long is a piece of string? It all really depends on the baby. So whether that baby's awake or asleep, I want to be photographing all the time. So for those of you who are newborn photographers, never ever underestimate the power of photographing the babies when they're awake. So with our sessions, we offer hair and makeup. So once my clients arrive, as soon after they arrive, I normally get them settled into our studio, and I have half an hour with them before the hair and makeup artist arrives. During that time, I'm sort of getting a feel for what they want in the session. You know, whether there's a certain pose that they really want, whether there's certain props or certain accessories that they really want. But also what I'm getting mum to do is to settle the baby. We do a comfort feed. So when the makeup artist arrives, mum is going to be out of action for 40 minutes to an hour while her hair and makeup's getting done. And I then have the opportunity to photograph that baby. And what I try and do is get all of the baby shots done before mum's hair and makeup is finished. Now, I do have a posing flow, but that flow changes all the time, and that all really depends on the baby. So if after that half an hour, once mum has fed the baby, mum then sits down to get her hair and makeup done, if that baby's awake, I'm going to photograph the baby awake straight away, as long as the baby's calm and settled. If the baby isn't settled, the first thing I do is I wrap the baby. So it's one of the best ways to get babies settled is to wrap them or swaddle them. And I usually swaddle them in this way. I don't know whether you guys can see, but I do what I call a full swaddle. So the baby's arms are down by their sides. And the reason why I swaddle that way is because I want that baby to be settled really, really fast. And also it's amazing when mums and dads see you swaddle a baby and you get that baby asleep super quickly. You can see if they've been a little bit anxious about the session, all of a sudden they just sit back and think, wow, this guy really knows what they're doing. Got my baby to sleep within minutes. So the key to obviously getting variety out of the session is, like I said before, is get as many awake shots as possible, because when babies are awake, they can give you the most amazing variety of expressions. So get those, that's absolute key. And then what you want to do is with my sessions, my top package is 20 images. So I want to get at least 16, for like maybe let's say 14, 15, 16 different images of the baby. So that is using different poses. Within those poses, I want to use different camera angles, and then I've got different backdrops, I've got outfits, so different rompers, and then of course you have accessories. And then I'm at 14. To get those extra 6 images, or I actually shoot for 24 images or 25, we'll speak about that later. To get those extra images, obviously I'm including siblings, if there are siblings, and then of course as many pictures that I can get with mum and baby, dad and baby, and then of course with them together. So my aim within a session is to get to 24. So I'm constantly, during my session, I'm sort of counting how far I am along in my process. So the first thing that I do is get the baby settled in the full wrap, and then I get 3 shots out of this. Before I quickly go into my posing flow, I know that there's going to be some questions with regards to the gear I'm using. I use a converted dog bed. So this is a contraption that I've made myself. It's really, really sturdy and safe. I keep it low on purpose. I don't like shooting newborns on elevated surfaces. The gear I use, this is a 125 centimeter umbrella, deep umbrella by Ellancrom. It's got a white interior, and I use the Ellancrom ELC 125 light, made by Ellancrom, obviously. This is my mobile setup. If I was in my studio, I actually use a 1.5 meter octobox, which is a reverse octobox. It's an indirect octobox, which means that I don't see the light or the light stand, and that helps a lot with some of my poses. But as I say, when I'm mobile, this is my setup of choice. The other big thing that is absolutely essential to me are my posing pillows. So these posing pillows are made by Newborn Cloud. It's an American-based company, but I can't leave home without these. They are absolutely essential to me. Underneath my main fabric that I use, I have a load of blankets, nice big fleecy ones. So this one's folded in half, and this is a really big queen-sized bed throw, which is nice and fleecy, and that's folded double and then double again. So I have 6 sort of thick blankets on top of my main poser. So for those, that just answers those questions for the people who want to know how my setup is. Super. So getting back to the posing flow. We'll rattle through these because, as I say, we don't have that much time. But my first pose would be so simple, baby lying on their back. And I use 3 different camera angles here. So the first camera angle would be from above. I call this the portrait pose. And literally, and this is where safety comes into it. You obviously want to be using a neck strap. I shoot with a mirrorless camera now, so I'm quite often holding it high and the neck strap is too short. So I use a wrist strap just from a safety point of view. So for my first image, I just get a very, very simple head and shoulder image. And when we go to the reveal wall later, you'll see how these look as they are. So that's my first shot. My second shot even though the baby is in a very, very plain position, I then go and do what I call a 45-degree angle, and I shoot into the shadows. So this, even though it's from there to there, it looks significantly different. Even though the baby hasn't moved, the image looks completely different, particularly when it comes to the reveal wall, if I put that into black and white. And because I shot into the shadows, I get a really nice contrast of the dark areas of the image to the lighter parts of the image, and it just creates the most amazing image. So that's shot number 2. And then shot number 3, I don't do this so much when I use my mobile setup, but when I have my indirect octa and I've got a clean sort of white background, I would then come around over this side and do a profile of the baby's face. And that's a very, very popular pose. I'll crop that in. By the way, I'm using a 50mm lens for those of you who are interested. I'll crop that in so it's just sort of a profile of that baby's face with the little nose and the lips. And again, that's it sells really well. So within a few minutes of getting the baby settled and wrapped, I'm already 3 shots into the 15 images that I need of just the baby. So another little trick that I do with the sessions is soon after the baby's fed, and normally they're still awake by then, I will actually dress the baby in a romper. Now a lot of the wraps that I use and the outfits that I use are guided by my clients. I'll ask them whether they prefer the romper, whether they prefer more sort of nude pictures, or whether they like the hair accessories or hats, things like that. I'm very much guided by my clients. But if they do like the rompers, and most mums do, I dress the baby in the romper before I swaddle them, because it's much easier to gently take that swaddle off and keep the baby asleep, and now already they're dressed, so you don't have to wake the baby up by putting on the romper. So from this pose, I then move my big bean. Sorry, I didn't really talk about that, but I've got a big posing pillow underneath here. I'll move that to the side, and I'll get what I call my back pose. So that's where the baby's on their back, fold the legs. Obviously, the posing doll is not as flexible as a live baby, but you'll get the idea. So once the baby's on their back, I'll then use these smaller pillows to adjust the baby's head. And I place the baby in what I call the 4 o'clock position. So if you imagined that we were looking from above, with that being 12 o'clock and this being 6 o'clock, the baby's body is in this 4 o'clock position. It's facing down towards this corner here. And then obviously I'll need to adjust the light. So I would then swing my light around to this side, and I'm getting the edge of my softbox in line with the baby. I'm trying to encourage the baby to turn their head as much as possible this way, and then I will take a full-length picture from up here. So because I want 15 images of the baby, I don't necessarily want to change or move the baby 15 times. And this is what's so important about getting more than 1 shot per pose. So with this pose, I get 2. I get a full-length pose like that, and then usually I'll get a close-up as well. Now, remember the first shot I did that landscape. So it's just a shot of the baby's head and shoulders. Well, this is a head and shoulder shot as well, but I don't want to photograph a landscape because it's going to look too similar to the first one. So I'll do this portrait, and this is where, if your camera has the feature where you have this sort of grid overlay, it really is very, very handy in getting this picture really nice and upright. So I'll get that shot. So that's 2 shots with the side pose. You can then add a hat, or you can add a headband or something like that if you also wanted to add variety that way. Super. So from here, I will then shift the baby onto their tummy. Obviously, with a live baby, you're going to do it a lot more gentler than this. And because Matilda, her name is Matilda, doesn't have moving arms or moving elbows and knees. She doesn't really do this pose too well. But from this position, I'm going to get at least 3 pictures. And at this stage, if the baby's really, really fast asleep, I might think about trying to gently take off the, oh, sorry, I've missed a trick here. I should have gone onto the side pose. Rather than the tummy pose, from the back pose, I go onto a side pose. So with the side pose, I'll stay with the romper arm. And again, Matilda's not the best at doing these poses, but I will still do it at the 4 o'clock position. I'm still using my micro pillows to adjust the head in the position that I want it. And between these 2 poses, and I'll show you on the reveal wall later, the baby's head is actually in a very, very similar position. So I don't need to adjust my light that much. But generally what I'm always looking to do is get the edge of that light in line with the baby and the bottom of my light in line with the level of my poser. And again, I'm going to do 2 shots on this. I'm going to do a full length one, and then I'm going to come in and do another close up. But this time I'm going back to a landscape. So with the landscape now, it's going to look different because the hands are up against the face. Obviously Matilda can't do that very well, but it's a very, very cute pose. From there, that's when I'm going to go from side onto the tummy pose. Okay, so with that one, again, I'm going to do full length and close up, and then I'm going to do a picture from above as well. And again, later when we look at the images on the reveal wall, I'll go through all of this again. So already now I'm at around about 10 or 11 shots of just the baby. And then I'll do one more pose. Obviously by this stage I would have changed the backdrop and we would have gone into the forward facing pose. And this is the one probably that the mums love the most, if you get it right. So that's when the baby's facing forwards, as the name suggests. Now this is where the lighting needs to change a little bit. Matilda's not very good at staying in place. Let's just see if we can get that right. I'll tell you what I'll do. Where's the other bean? This one over here. That will do. Well, she won't do it. So with this one, the light has to move around a little bit, and always make sure that the baby's head is tilting towards where your light is. So again, I'm going to do the full length and then the close-up. And remember, you can change as well by doing the full length without a hat or a hairband, and the close-up with. So again, we're getting variety. And then I'll either do a prop shot, or I'll do the baby in dad's hands, or I'll do the potato sack, depending. Now, usually one of these poses the baby won't be happy in doing. I always find that there's one pose that the baby never settles in, so I've always got that extra pose, and it's usually the potato sack pose that I use, because it's such an easy pose for the baby and very easy to get them settled. So from there, obviously that's all of the pictures of the baby on their own. By this stage, mum has normally had her hair and makeup done. She looks great. And that's where we go and get the family shots. So I want at least 2 shots with mum and baby, a couple of shots of dad and baby, and then at least 2 poses of them together with the baby. I sometimes try and get 3. And through all of that, I get up to my magic figure of 25 prints. So, yep, that's how it works. How much time have we got? 2 minutes? Super. Can't believe I got through all of that quickly. That's the fastest posing I've ever done. But the one thing that I want to stress is that when you're shooting for print, it's all about blowing them away with as much variety as possible. So with the reveal wall system that I've got a small package, a medium package, and a large package. My small package is 6 prints, my medium is 10, and my maximum or my biggest package is 20, but I'm showing them 25 images. So if they go for my middle package, they need to lose 15. If they've got 25 images on the board that are all unique and they're all stunning and amazing, it's really, really difficult for them to whittle that down to the middle package. And obviously what we're doing is we're creating amazing memories for people, and the more variety that you can give them, the easier it is for them to decide to go for your larger package on the reveal wall. So I think we're just about done for that. We're going to do a little break. Yeah.
We're going to take a little short break, and it's going to be a little short break where we want to reinforce why Made in Italy is so important to us. I just want to, at this point, and I've not mentioned it all weekend, the B word, and that's the Brexit word. Now, we know that a number of other suppliers have been saying, don't trust about buying overseas because for delays and things like that. The team in Italy worked so hard last year and here and during this year to make sure that the supply of products into the UK from Italy is almost not stopped at all. We've had one or two little hiccups on the way, which is not surprising, but key for us is keeping that supply. And why? Because we're passionate about that Made in Italy. So now we're going to cut to a little session just to talk a little bit about Made in Italy and how important it is in terms of what our heritage and what we do. Just been asked to give a little bit more behind that. Our passion has come from many, many years of printing. Inside the factory, we've got guys that have got 20, 30, 40 years of experience in print. It's not without reason that we're classed as one of the best places to print in the world. And it's that upgrading of technology that we talked about. It's about all that different legacy that we've had, work that we've done in the past for the National Portrait Gallery, for the Vatican, the printing and the high level of things that we've done. And it's now taking that forward for the next generations and for the photographers and people that is really important to us. So we're going to cut to that now and just to have a little bit of talk about Made in Italy. We'll be back to finish off with Russ to talk about the actual sales section. Thanks for now, Russ.
Okay, so guys, at the actual newborn session, that is when I plan, or that's when we book in the reveal session. So the reveal session is when the client comes back, and I like to sort of do that in a 10-day turnaround. I don't like it to be too long after the session. They come back and they actually see fully edited prints, and not just any prints. These are the fine art paper that Graphistudio at the moment, and you can see how every single image is very, very different. So I book that in at the session, which means that I need to edit those images pretty quickly. So what I do is I shoot in the mornings, and what I try and do is that day or that evening, I'm actually doing my editing. I'm not editing hundreds and hundreds of images. Remember, I'm shooting, during my session, I'm very, very focused on what I need, my 25 images. And once I've got those, the session is finished. Then I go home, I select those 25 images, and I edit them. I send them off to Graphy, and they come back around about a week, 11 days after, a week to 8-9 days after, depending on how the weekends fall. And I've already at the session pre-scheduled them in to come in for their reveal. So when they arrive, there's actually no selling that needs to be done. Now this method, this is the Sue Bryce reveal method, has meant that I can shoot half the sessions that I was doing when I was doing online galleries, and I'm actually making more money. It is so much more profitable for me doing it this way. And the main reason for that is that you don't have to sell the pictures. They quite literally, it's the old cliche, the images sell themselves. So I welcome them into the studio, they walk in, and the reveal wall is there for them. We have 2 beautiful chairs with a little coffee table in between. I invite them to sit down, get comfortable, and just enjoy the images. After that, I'll offer them a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and I don't do any selling. By this stage, they absolutely know what my packages are. So at the point of inquiry, which is obviously months before the session sometimes, they've received my pricing guide. We've spoken about pricing during the session. I've given them a hard copy of the pricing list as well. So when they arrive, they already know that they're going to have the choice of my small package, my medium package, or my large package. So remember, it's 6, 10, and 20. And they're priced in a way that obviously the more they buy, the top package gives them better value for money. I think, just judging how people react when they see the images for the first time, I think a lot of my customers probably have a little chat in the car before they arrive, and I think most people are sort of gunning towards my middle package, which is 10 images. When they see 25 images on the wall, they soon realize that it's going to be very, very difficult to lose 15 of those images. And I don't get involved. I really don't get involved. I don't offer to try and help them. I don't try and help them to select the best ones. If they ask for my input, obviously I'll give them. Sometimes I just leave them to it. They've got all the information that they need, and I'll go into the office and just sort of, type out a few emails or whatever it is. I find that it's much easier just to let them decide. I also don't want to be, I don't want to get in the way of any disagreements that they might have on pricing or anything like that. So I just let them be, come back 10 minutes later and I'll say, listen, how's it going? What I do say to them is, listen, take off the images that you like, the ones that you like most, take them off and put them in a pile of the ones you're going to keep, and then take off the ones that you perhaps don't like as much. And usually when I come back, they all say the same thing. Well, Russ, I don't know how on earth we're going to get down to 10. So, perhaps we might go for the top image, for the top package, but quite often it's a no-brainer. They'll just say, I'll come back in and they'll say, Russ, look, we love them all, we'll go for the top package. But remember, there's 20 images on, 24, 25 images on the board. Now, if they tell me straight up that they like all of the images, I will offer to give them the extra 5 images as a way of saying thank you for a great order. If they're saying, look, Russ, we probably don't need all 20 of the images, but 10 is too few. Can we sort of find a middle road somewhere? I'll say, well, look, what happens if I give you all of the images as part of the top package? And this is the main reason why I don't shoot for 20. I shoot for 24 or 25, because I've got those extra 5 images as my bargaining material, if that's what you want to call it. It's sort of just a little bit of a push, giving them more value, giving them better value, to go up to the top package. But I'm also solving a problem for them. They no longer have to argue about which 15 or 16 images they're going to go for. So as soon as I take that problem away from them, where I'm giving them better value, and I'm taking away the problem of which ones are they going to keep and which ones are they going to lose, very, very quickly I normally get the handshake, and they say, great, we'll go for the top package, but they're getting all 25 prints. So just quickly, we have a little bit of time. I just want to quickly go through individual images. The other thing that I do when I put them on the wall, I don't put them in the sequence that I've taken them in. I sort of mix them up. And also what you can see is that I've put some images in black and white and some in color. Now I'm the one who makes those decisions. I just think some pictures do look better in black and white, but also I'm guided by my clients. Now most clients do come to me because they like the black and white pictures that I show both on my website and on my social media channels. But when it comes to choosing what images in black and white and what's in color, that's my decision. For every print that they buy, they get a USB with the image both in color and black and white. So if there is a little bit of pushback saying, well, we love this picture, but have you got it in color? I'm like, you get it, you have it in color on your USB, and that normally sort of solves that little issue. So just to go through my posing flow, this is the first shot. It's just a very, very simple head and shoulder shot. It's one of the best sellers, believe it or not. People just love beautiful pictures of their babies. You don't have to go crazy with props and things like that to take a beautiful picture of somebody's baby. So that is shot number 1. Shot number 2 would be this one. Can you see how different that is? The baby hasn't moved. I've just moved my camera angle, and I've obviously turned it into black and white. Shot number 3 is not on the board. That's the profile. I didn't do it in this shoot, but from there I went onto a back pose, full length, and that's obviously with the baby in the full wrap. Then I gently took the wrap off the baby, and he was already in the romper. So we've got a very, very similar image pose-wise, but completely different because now he's in the little teddy bear romper. From there, I did a close-up, but remember what I said, when I do the close-up, I put it in profile, in portrait orientation. So again, those 2 shots, the baby hasn't moved, but they're very, very different. Okay, so from there, remember, we now go on to the side pose. Now in this particular session, the baby woke up. So I took the opportunity when he woke up to take him out of the romper. I then did awake shots. I can't tell you how important it is to do awake shots with babies, because it's the first, remember when I say take off the pictures that you love, that's normally the first one they take off the wall. So from awake shot, try and get as many as you can. In this particular instance, I got 2 that that I thought were beautiful enough to edit. So it's this one, and then very similar shot, but full length. Okay, and that's just the baby kicking around in his nappy. I've just used some fabric to hide the nappy. Whoop, sorry, almost fell off. From there, I got him settled again and to sleep. We changed the color. Remember, we were on the beige, browny colors here, went to gray and blue. So this is the side pose. And then I do a full length of the side pose, and then close up of the side pose. Okay, and then from there onto the tummy pose. This pose I normally do naked. I love the little naked shots of the babies. This pose is the best for naked because you don't get any bum cracks or anything like that. So there's the tummy pose, and there should be a different angle. There we go. There it is. That's the second angle that I do of the baby on the tummy pose. From there onto the chin on hands or forward facing pose. So that's got me to my sort of 13, 14 images of just the baby. From there, then, what we did, I think we had to wrap this little guy because he woke up again. So I wrapped him into potato sack pose, into the potato sack wrap, because it's the quickest way to get him back to sleep again. So we did grandmom. Always invite those grandparents to the session. Make sure you photograph them. She was in tears, this granny. She absolutely loved the pictures we were taking. She was so proud. She was leaving to go back to her home country the following day. It meant the world to capture those pictures for her. So we did her with her grandson, her first grandson as well. So it was easy to sell these images. And then we did them all together here. Then, of course, we did of mum and dad in that wrap. So I did 3 here. I couldn't decide which ones I liked because the little baby had a big yawn here. So that's always beautiful to get those extra expressions. And then these 2 were very similar, although dad's holding baby here, mum is holding baby on this one. So that's why I turned one into black and white, just to try and make those 2 as different as possible. Then he fell asleep beautifully. We managed to keep him asleep. Mum wanted to do some in the white outfits that they brought, so I changed the backdrop, and we did some with dad holding baby. This is always a winner. New mums love pictures of daddies with their sons or daughters. So we did that one. Then I added mum into the picture, got them to really connect. And then right at the end, I did one last shot of mum holding the baby because I didn't actually manage to get one of mum holding the baby in this pose. So the only problem with this session is I'd love to have got more pictures of mum connecting with baby. But you can see using variety in your sessions is key to getting a lovely reveal board full of different images, which makes it much easier to get them up to that top package. So, excuse me. So let's say it's all gone well. They've decided to go to the top package. What I do then, as part of the customer service that I offer, is the prints that they buy, they're going to take home on the day. And this is what's so effective about the reveal wall, is because when you give somebody physical prints that they've got it in their hands, they can take them home with them on the day, it's a no-brainer. They don't have to think about it. They say, well, you know, absolutely, they can feel a tangible product that they absolutely value. They fall in love with those images, and it just makes the close of the sale so much easier. They are so valuable to them at that moment that it's a very fluid way of doing it, and you don't feel. I always feel. In the past, when I've done in-person sales prior to when I first started out, I always felt guilty asking for the money, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate with this. Well, this, you don't feel guilty because you see how much joy they have. You can see them holding and clutching onto those images. They absolutely love them, and they feel that it's a product that's worth the investment. So to take it a step further with the process, I like to offer my clients the opportunity to customize their box. So we use the Sue Bryce folio box. Cheers, thank you. The problem with the folio boxes is that because I offer 3 different collections, I don't have that much I don't like to keep the boxes in stock, and I also like the customer service element of offering them the option to customize it. And that's where we then go from them choosing how much they want. Those go into a temporary box, which they're going to take home with them. And then we go onto the Graphistudio configurator, and we actually customize their box there and then. So we can then show them obviously the different color leathers. They can see the real leathers with the swatches that I have, but I can then ask them what they want to engrave or get laser etched onto the box. So it could be the baby's name, the baby's birth date, it can be anything at all that they want to put on. And that's what's great about the Graphi products, is that we can customize like that. So the customer leaves with a lovely bag. They've got their USB of the images that they've bought, or the prints they've bought. They take their prints home in the temporary box. They've ordered their Graphi box, and obviously once that arrives back from the factory, I send that off to them in the mail. And that's how I do it. And I've gone from shooting 120 sessions a year to shooting 60 sessions a year and making more money. And that's all through shooting for print. And I haven't even gone into wall art. We've sort of run out a bit of time. But shooting for print and shooting for the wall is the way to go.
Russ, that was amazing.
Yeah, sorry, it's all
you know what? It's a super fast. I mean, it's a day seminar, and I know that through Russ Jackson Academy, you actually teach all of this in detail as well, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So both through the academy, we actually don't have a sales product yet, but that's coming. But through my one-to-one mentoring, obviously we can cover that, and then with the workshops, we always dedicate at least an hour to the sales process as well.
So you know it. And I've known you for a long time, and I know, you know, the years that we've had conversations about sales, and you are not unique amongst photographers when it comes to being worried about putting your prices up, worried about sales. But that leap that you took into focusing on shooting for the product has worked, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if somebody said to me now, or if somebody said to the very same me 5 years ago, that you would be able to sell a product and it won't be in the hundreds, it won't even be in the 1000s, it will be into the 2000s, and it will be an easy process, I would have said never. And nothing has changed since then, apart from my psychology and but what made it so much easier is seeing people fall in love with a tangible product and seeing the value of that and saying, there's my card, without me having to feel at all like I'm a salesperson.
Russ, I want to thank you very much for joining us. I know you've got a special offer for the Academy, haven't you? Just tell us very quickly about that.
Well, it's not, doesn't feel like it tonight, but it is spring, so we're celebrating the fact that the weather's getting better, we're coming out of summer and hopefully coming out of lockdown soon. So we've got 60% off our online workshops at the Russ Jackson Academy.
60% off the online workshops. That's Russ Jackson Academy. Go and look at Russ's website. Russ, sorry to rush you out. It's just been an amazing talk. Every single part of what you've done, I've seen your progress and I've loved every minute of it. And thank you so much for sharing it with us today. Coming up, we're going to have the print critique for the competition that was held yesterday. Russ, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having me.